Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on Now. The Coast Guard was searching for a man who, as it turns out, didn't really need to be searched for. We'll explain.
Plus, we're looking at a study that may link recreational marijuana to more car crashes. We'll explain.
Also, those Fitbit exercise devices tell you 10,000 steps a day is your goal, but is that really the number you should be shooting for? We'll look into it.
This is News Center Now. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. Okay, we've got a growing danger on our roads because more and more drivers are taking the high road.
So to speak. A just released study shows legalizing recreational marijuana use, like it is in Maine now, is linked to more car crashes. That study says legal pot use in places like Colorado, Oregon, and Washington resulted in a 3% bump in collision claims overall.
All right, Chris Costa is live in Portland. Chris, you know, this is not the first time we've heard that there are studies that show higher number of crashes in relation, at least, to marijuana use.
Yeah, no, Lee and Amanda, it's not. AAA released a study just last year showing more fatal crashes in states where marijuana was legal. Now, while this new study does not directly link marijuana use with a higher crash risk, police in Maine say they could soon face a new challenge, unlike any other department in the country.
Officer John Roma is a drug recognition expert, an advanced police officer who tries to get people driving under the influence off the street.
My biggest concern is just the public safety standpoint, is people getting behind the wheel while they're high.
A new study from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety shows car crashes increased in states where marijuana is legal, like Colorado.
Nationwide, law enforcement is kind of watching what's happening there.
The study does not directly link marijuana use with increased crash risk. The Marijuana Policy Project, which pushes to legalize pot, acknowledges the states that made marijuana legal saw some increases in collision claims, but adds there is no evidence that marijuana contributed to the accidents.
21 and 19, looks like it is.
Officer Roma says the substance can make people react slower.
You're not going to see the same signs and symptoms that you see from an alcohol impairment.
Maine could be the first state in the country to permit cannabis social clubs, public places where people can go to buy and use marijuana. Police say it could open up a number of new challenges as far as getting sober rides home.
They're already out in public, so are they going to be driving? Are we going to have more people driving? So that's a question that we can't answer right now, but it's something that we need to watch because it puts us into a different dynamic that I think other regions are going to be watching.
Now, those social clubs are scheduled to become legal in February of 2018. Officer Roma says there's a push statewide to get more police officers trained in advanced measures for recognizing different types of impairment, not just alcohol or marijuana. Supporters of the social clubs have said in the past, though, they agree with all this. They want to make sure there are safeguards in place to prevent anybody from getting on the road and potentially endangering others. Lee and Amanda, back to you.
All right, Christopher, thank you very much, sir. So all week, he's been talking about rain, 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 rain. On Friday, maybe not so much.
Yeah, possibly some good news, Keith.
Well, yeah, specifically for our application of getting on the road. There will be rain tomorrow, but we might be able to get out in time in the afternoon. Let's start with where we are right now. We're getting a little warm down here across southern coastal Maine. 80, 82. It's a little bit cooler over down east, sitting at 73 in Bar Harbor. What a day today, though. Sunny. Everybody was beautiful. Did get a call from Betty and Eustace, which is our long-term weather watcher out there, saying there's quite a bit of cloud cover out that way. Doesn't surprise me looking at the satellite. So ending the day with some high, thin clouds, but, you know, hard to get a much nicer day than we had today. Here's the rain that's on the way up here. This is actually the remnants of Cindy, which was a tropical storm. Some of that moisture advecting into our system tomorrow. But there will be some good news because the middle of the day and maybe the afternoon will end up dry. So by tomorrow morning, showers start to move in with that warm front. Some thunderstorms roll through in the afternoon. In between, we could get into the mid-80s away from the coastline, and the dew points are going to get up there. So it's been dry dry the past 2 days. Back to that humid feel for at least a day, day and a half tomorrow, and that touches off some of your afternoon thunderstorms. But as Lee alluded to here we are at 4:30. We're going to be right out here looking good. There are some showers and storms in the mountains, but we should be in good shape for the show, guys. That would be a first. First for everything.
Well, yeah, we'll take that. All right, we are going to switch gears to a tough story. A man is dead after mixing explosives in his basement.
Yeah, police say that he was killed instantly when the chemicals blew up. All this happened while his wife was home at the same time. Danielle Waugh has our story from Lincoln.
It was in this home here behind me in the quiet town of Lincoln, Maine, where neighbors heard several loud explosions last night. A boom in the basement, a call for help, then the discovery of improvised explosive devices.
Kind of alarming, yeah.
Neighbors driving by the home say it's a shock to a community that's always felt safe.
I was very surprised that somebody would be making bombs here in Lincoln.
Police say 67-year-old Robert Cullen Stewart was mixing materials in his basement Wednesday night when an explosion instantly killed him. His wife called for help, and when first responders arrived, they found 5 IEDs on the property and detonated them. Police say the wife was not injured and the house not seriously damaged, but they did find more explosive materials inside. They're now working with the FBI to determine when and where he got them.
He wouldn't have meant to have anything harmful happen.
Friends say there was nothing sinister about Stewart's devices. His wife told police he was trying to blow up tree stumps in the backyard. Catherine Lewis, who knew Stewart through the medical marijuana community, says she's not surprised he would try tree removal like this.
He loved fireworks. He liked things to go boom. And if you have a tree stump in your yard and you need to get it out, what do? You blow it up.
Instead of the violent way he died, she'll remember him for the life he lived.
He was just a very kind, caring person.
As police investigate a series of explosions that rocked this small town. In Lincoln, Danielle Waugh, News Center.
So the story brings up a lot of questions about explosive materials and what is allowed in our state. So we spoke to a representative from the state fire marshal's office who pointed us to a certain section of the state's statute. There is a permit and inspection process for explosives over a certain amount. The exceptions apply to possession of 50 pounds or less of smokeless powder or black powder. Also, 5 pounds or less of binary target material for the purpose of sport shooting. Amanda?
All right, thanks, Lee. Still to come, a mansion that is now uninhabitable because police say someone was operating an illegal puppy mill inside. First, though, imagine hearing the voice of your friend on a Mayday call. That's coming up right after the break.
Mayday, Mayday. I fell off the kayak.
Okay, last night, several agencies were searching for a missing kayaker off the coast of Maine. All they had to go on was this Mayday call.
Okay, but now everybody is safe, and Zach Blanchard has more on this. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Lee and Amanda, that's right. The most amazing part of this, rather, is that the kayaker actually knew someone through the Maine Coastal Islands National Refuge right here in Millbridge, and that person actually recognized his voice on that call in broadcast on the news. Now, Adrian Cirivo went missing just off the Petite Manon Point yesterday morning. His Mayday call deploying a massive search effort involving the Coast Guard and several other agencies combing the waters for him. But James Fortier, a boat operator with the refuge, says he knew Cirivo was in the area and had a gut feeling it might be him, even going to check his cabin yesterday, but he was not there, just his kayak and his gear. It was not until this morning, through that, Fortier actually heard the Mayday call in the news, and that's when he knew. Cirivo reportedly wearing a life jacket, able to swim to shore on Boisbouire Island, bail out his kayak, and make it back to Petite Manon Point. Fortier spoke to him today.
He seemed very embarrassed, very sorry that it did happen, and he didn't realize it caused that much of a commotion. Unforgiving, a very harsh environment, and the currents out there, especially on Petite Manon Bar, are pretty severe. I think he was very lucky.
Lucky indeed. And now we did try to reach Cirivo today. I went to his cabin where he was staying, but we weren't able to hear back from him. However, Fortier, who says that he was in the Coast Guard prior to this job, says it never hurts to double check, even if you think your Mayday call didn't go through. Leah and Amanda.
Always good advice, Zach. Thanks. Yeah, you never think about that. If you could be missing, just check in and be like, hey, guys, I'm okay. Don't worry about it.
Check-in times are good things.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Hey, still to come, caught on camera. Surveillance video of a man shows him reaching behind the counter of a gun store. The shop quick to call him out on Facebook.
And Keith is going to be in next, and I see lots of bright yellow things in our immediate future.
Welcome back. A gun store in Fairfield says it caught a thief on camera. A&G Shooting and Supply posted this video to their Facebook page yesterday.
The video was shared hundreds of times, and the store said that Fairfield police able to track down the suspect very quickly. According to this Facebook post, police were also able to recover the stolen gun. A strange, disturbing animal abuse case unfolding in New Hampshire.
And what makes the case so unusual is that a home once appraised at nearly $2 million was destroyed, more than 80 large dogs living inside. Some of these images might be upsetting. We just want to warn you. Police say as early as next week, many new charges could be lodged against Christina Fay, a woman with connections to Maine. She's accused of running an illegal dog breeding operation inside a mansion in Wolfboro. When police and Humane Society investigators entered the home, they found deplorable conditions and 84 Great Danes. Some were caged, others were running free. The home has now been deemed uninhabitable. The 3 people who lived here have been ordered to move out. No one associated with the case can figure out why such an operation was being run in what was once a beautiful home.
The part that stands out to me, other than the inherent suffering for these dogs, is that we were in such a possibly beautiful house that had been really destroyed.
The truth is stranger than fiction. No, I cannot. I cannot. I've stopped trying to figure it out.
Besides more animal cruelty charges, the chief says reckless conduct and child endangerment charges will likely be filed against Christina Fay next week. There were kids living in that home.
A Canadian sniper getting all kinds of attention on social media, even though his identity is still a mystery. A gun specialist from the Elite Joint Task Force 2 set a world record for the longest confirmed kill in history. Because the mission is confidential, there are not a lot of details about it.
But we do know the shot took out an ISIS militant in Iraq from more than 2 miles away. That beats the last record by more than 3,000 feet. It's almost as long as the Golden Gate Bridge.
It's go time. It's nearly 3 months of nonstop guests arriving.
It's gonna go down. This is life on the islands of Casco Bay, one of the most popular places for people to visit and in some cases live throughout the summer months. The islands offer all kinds of variety depending what it is that you're looking for. A meal with amazing views, a place to spend the night, or in some cases, a place to get married.
So things are just nuts pretty much from mid-May to probably the end of October. So, but things do get a little more intensified during Memorial Day and Labor Day, just with the amount of guests that come out and all that stuff. So it is pretty nuts.
And tomorrow Now Hits the Road. We'll travel to the islands of Casco Bay. We'll be live at 5 from Peaks Island, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. You know, I was just saying, no matter what, that ferry is always, you got to pack 2 different clothes for that. Tomorrow's going to be mild, but I've never gone on the ferry and felt warm. No matter what.
Is that early though? Because
yeah,
I think what we should do early if we get there is like, for work purposes,
right?
Sample the ice cream.
Yep.
Try some of the local
Look,
food.
You're preaching to the choir. You're talking to a dude that had spent a lobster roll last week, so this is where I'm at.
I'm going with him.
Let's talk about where we were today. It won't be quite as nice as today. It'll actually be a little warmer though, I think, during the day on Friday. I think my lights are off here, guys. Oh, look at that. All I have is an uplight. 82. Hey, all right. 82 for a high today in Portland, 79 in Augusta. Pretty mild out there. Beautiful day, as I mentioned before. A couple of clouds now moving into the mountains. I am getting reports that it's pretty thick out there. But for the most part, nice afternoon, nice evening. Here comes our next storm system. It's a warm front and a cold front combo that's going to lift through. This whole mess down here is actually the remnants of Cindy, which will eject some of its moisture into the system. So give it a little extra shot of moisture. That shouldn't be a big deal for us, but you will feel the tropical connection tomorrow when the dew points rise. It'll be a lot more humid during the day tomorrow, and it will be uncomfortable at some times during the afternoon. So here we are tomorrow morning. A couple of showers lift through with the warm front. Middle of the day, partly sunny, warm. Again, 80s, maybe even mid 80s away from the coastline. Thunderstorms try to roll through in the afternoon. A lot of them, though, stay in the mountains and foothills. On Saturday morning, we start with some showers, but by the afternoon, we clear out, and we're in good shape the rest of Saturday, Saturday night, and most of Sunday. So the weekend will be about 3/4 nice, which is about what we've been doing the past couple of weekends, and I think it works for most people. Heat index tomorrow, sneaky hot. I only say that because it won't be all that sunny, and we won't be in the 90s, but when you take the temperature, you put it with the dew point, it will feel like 89 in Sanford, 89 in Freiburg, 83 in Lewiston. It will be cooler over northern Maine, but this heat index down here, I think, will be quite noticeable by tomorrow afternoon. The pattern after the weekend is interesting. We have these little disturbances that will be rotating down from Canada, but they'll really only be affecting the mountains and foothills with showers and a couple occasional clouds in there. Meanwhile, the air will go downhill, warm and dry along the coastline. So you'll see that our inland forecast will feature shower chances on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You will not see those shower chances, though, as much on the coastal forecast, because I think the coast will see a different weather pattern. It will be warmer, it will be drier all the way through Thursday. Indications are we should ridge back out for next weekend, which of course leads into the 4th of July. So overall, good stuff.
If we're living 73 to 79,
yeah,
I'm good.
I can live with that zone.
I mean, that's like,
I agree.
that's Maine Diego right now.
I just got AC, so I want a 95 in there just to test it, but otherwise, I'm with you.
That's fair. Yeah, this is Maine right here.
That's how I'm gonna reclassify it. Maine Diego.
I like it.
73 to 79.
Rolls
We're
off the
kind of
tongue,
living in the middle there.
All right. You do you. Hey, heart disease is the nation's #1 killer of women.
Yeah, but it often goes undiagnosed, and Erica Edwards has our story on that.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
There are several reasons Tracy Solomon Clark did not see a doctor when she first began having severe heart attack symptoms in her early 40s.
I thought this was an old man disease. Surely it wouldn't happen to me.
Tracy also put off getting medical care she urgently needed because of her weight.
Again, the goal was to lose a few pounds because I says I'm overweight, and then I'll go to the doctor.
She's not the only woman who feels this way. Nearly half of 1,000 surveyed women said they'd postponed or canceled doctor's visits because they wanted to lose weight first. Dr. Noelle Barry-Mers at Cedars-Sinai Heart Institute in Los Angeles led the study. She says even in doctor's offices, female patients face gender stigma.
Women are more often told to lose weight rather than actually take a medication or do something that would be helpful to their health.
Dr. Barry-Mers also surveyed physicians. The group wasn't as large, 300 doctors, including cardiologists who specialize in heart disease.
A majority of physicians did not feel well prepared to discuss or to manage heart health in women.
Tracy ended up getting help. She's had surgery and is now on heart medication.
I walk about 3 miles a day. I watch what I eat. And I stay positive. I think good thoughts, I pray.
What's missing from that list? Unnecessary concerns about weight. Erica Edwards, NBC News.
All right, one of the best ways to keep our hearts healthy is regular exercise. And anyone who has a Fitbit, smartwatch, or any kind of fitness tracker is probably taking a regular look at their physical activity. But what about that threshold that says 10,000 steps a day is the goal? We wanted to verify that claim. First, 10,000 steps a day is roughly 5 miles for the average person. That seems pretty far for someone who works at a desk or drives to work. Second thing to know is that 10,000 step goal doesn't come from scientific research. According to a report from UC Davis, it comes from a product in Japan. Japanese pedometers were a huge hit in the 60s. They were called menpake, which roughly translates to 10,000 steps meter in English. Apparently that number stuck. So even though it's not scientific in origin, does that mean we shouldn't be striving for 10,000? Doctors say any amount of safe physical activity is good for you. Just get up and move. But Dr. Reva Rawl says Your goals should depend on your lifestyle. If you're sedentary right now, don't get discouraged. Start around 5,000 steps a day. But if you are active, don't settle for 10,000. Strive for 15,000. She says you can work your way up. It is all about self-improvement.
Start slow and gradually work up there. And if you're doing 2,000 steps a day and you increase it to 4,000, well, then you're getting some sort of benefit, even if you're not necessarily achieving the mark, but you can gradually work toward that and improve your health along the way.
All right, so that claim is false. You don't have to walk 10,000 steps a day to be healthy. It's all about what is best for you. We'll take a quick break and be right back with Brain Drops.
All right, today's Brain Drops, as more of them are coming from viewer question. Someone said, if it's warmer in my house than it is outside and I have a fan in the window, which direction should I blow it?
I say blow the hot air out.
Okay.
Oh, see, I would say cold air in.
And this has been a classic debate, so let's talk about what the right way to do it is. There's two different scenarios here. This is a perfect vacuum, meaning the only thing in this room is the fan. You have no other windows open, there's no door to the room, nothing. In that case, if it is cooler outside, you'd want to blow the cooler air in, right? Because if you displaced, well, but don't celebrate yet. If you displaced the warm air, that would create a pressure vacuum. The air wouldn't be able to get back in here, so you wouldn't change the temperature, you would change the pressure of the room. This, though, is a perfect vacuum that doesn't really exist in most homes, right? So what if you've got another window or another fan? It gets more complicated now. So if you have the same situation, another window or another fan, the answer is it doesn't matter. And let me tell you why. Because the goal here is to reach an equilibrium state with the outside, right? You're never going to be cooler than the outside unless you use air conditioning or something like that. So if you blow the hot air out, that's going to create a lower area pressure. That air, cooler air, will come in the other window. You'll get to an equilibrium temperature. If you do it the other way, and you bring that cooler air in, the warmer air will be expelled as it's rising and come out. So the same amount of time will pass, you'll reach the equilibrium. One more thing, and I think I only have 30 seconds. If you had a basement that was cooler, say the basement was 60 and you were 76, then you want to expel the hot air, because guess what? That cool air is going to come up from the basement one way or another.
Interesting. All right.
Dropping some knowledge.
News Center at 5:30 starts right now.
Straight ahead in this half hour.
Kind of alarming, yeah. Usually things like that don't happen up here.
A Maine man making his own explosives dies when one of them goes off in his basement. What was he making them for? There's a budget offer on the table at the State House that, if agreed upon, would head off a government shutdown. But how much of a compromise is it? And in Washington, Senate Republicans finally released details of their plan to replace Obamacare. What do Maine's senators think about it?
Be in my hometown and bring jobs with me. What's not to like about that?
The promise of hundreds of new jobs coming to the Lewiston-Auburn area, and
I think these new automakers have to prove that there is, payload capacity, there's towing, there's range.
Is this the shape of things to come for pickup trucks? It's all electric, and you've probably never heard of the company that's making it. The news starts right now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Cindy Williams. One man is dead after a bomb exploded in his basement. Robert Stewart, who was 67 years old, died instantly in the blast last night at his home on Stanhope Mill Road in Lincoln. Investigators found 5 other devices in the basement. They detonated those in the man's backyard. News Center Samantha York joins us now with more on this. Sam.
Cindy, Stewart's wife told investigators that he was making the explosives to blow up tree stumps. I spoke to neighbors who say they had no idea, and police who say there's nothing illegal about it. Robert Stewart's wife was home when the explosion happened, just after 7 o'clock. She's the one who called police. When they got there, officers found Stewart dead. They also found other explosive materials and 5 more devices, which they detonated in his backyard.
Kind of alarming, yeah. Usually things like that don't happen up here.
Nearly 24 hours later, neighbors are still in shock. They say the area is usually pretty quiet and generally very safe.
And I was very surprised when I read it on the news that there would be, somebody would be making bombs here in Lincoln.
Friends say Stewart was a kind and caring person and helped a lot of people. And he loved explosions.
He was always tinkering. He loved fireworks. He liked things to go boom, just kind of playing around. And if you have a tree stump in your yard and you need to get it out, what do? You blow it up.
But they say he never would have done this intentionally.
But he wouldn't have meant to have anything harmful happen.
A call like this one is rare, but Lincoln's public safety officer says his crews are always prepared.
This is a priority call. Anytime you're talking any type of explosives or, it rates right up there, so we have to respond appropriately.
And while the explosives Stewart was making were perfectly legal, it's not encouraged.
But if you're not familiar with the products that you're buying and you are experimenting, you better know what you're doing.
The FBI is also involved in this investigation. They're trying to find out where and when Stewart purchased the material for those devices. His body was transported to the state medical examiner's office in Augusta. They expect an autopsy to happen soon. Cindy?
Samantha, thank you. Lawmakers may be a step closer to compromise in Augusta. After more than a week of criticism from Democrats, Republicans in the House today offered a compromise plan of their own. It includes spending an additional $125 million on K-12 education, as well as eliminating that controversial 3% income tax surcharge passed by voters. Governor LePage praised the plan and said if Democrats would agree to it, he would sign that budget. No comment from the Democrats yet. The proposal is being discussed at a meeting of the special conference committee that was formed to find a budget compromise. Lawmakers need to have a new budget passed and ready by next Friday. That's when the current budget expires. Today, Republican Senate leaders finally revealed their health care plan, but it is already coming under fire, even from members of their own party. The 142-page bill changes parts of Obamacare, but it's not a full repeal. And it appears, as Blaine Alexander shows us, that could be enough to sink this bill.
The bitter back and forth over health care taking center stage on the Senate floor.
Let us right now, Democrats and Republicans, sit down and try to come up with a bipartisan bill.
If I thought that was a sincere offer, I would take it in a minute, in a New York minute. But it's not.
Senate will be in order.
And the fight spilling into the halls of Congress.
I worked all my life with my disability, but I'm not rich enough to keep my daughter alive without Medicaid.
Senate Republicans unveiling their secretly written health care plan, but with 4 GOP senators saying they oppose the bill, it may already be doomed.
We're afraid that when we read the bill, that it actually looks like a reiteration or a keeping of Obamacare.
The bill keeps the structure of Obamacare, not a full repeal. The changes gradually deepening cuts to Medicaid and repeals for individual and employer mandates. What does it keep? Coverage for pre-existing conditions. States cannot opt out, and kids can remain on their parents' insurance until age 26. The plan would also give tax credits based on income.
The Medicaid expansion, gone. Ripped up and flushed down the toilet.
Republican leaders and the president say this is just a draft with plenty of time for changes.
A little negotiation, but it's going to be very.
But the clock is ticking. Republican leaders want this passed before July 4th. And what is still